One of the many reasons why I loved Hunter x Hunter, especially towards the early portion of the series, was because of its main antagonist of the New York City arc, the Phantom Troop. The group consists of a total of 13 members, all of whom are skilled Nen users, each with a numbered tattoo of a spider on their body. Those wishing to join the group can do so by killing a current member, thereby replacing them. That's the only way. If a vacancy opens due to a member dying or other cases, the lead the leader of the group, Crollo, Lucifer, is responsible for replacing them. Whether it was the massacre of the Kurta clan, Kurapika's family, or killing Squala, there was never a boring moment with these bandits. I have a, and even though the series, at least the both the anime and the manga is currently on hiatus. Well, the anime manga is, coming back, but from as an anime viewer and as an anime only, I'm pretty certain this is not the last we've seen of these band of thieves. Much like what I did with the My Hero Academia villains, I decided to group the Fate villains together because it was extremely hard picking a favorite. So I'm gonna highlight a few. So let's start off with who could be considered the main antagonist of the main Fate Stay Night series, or at least the ultimate foil to the main protagonist Shiro Emiya, Kire Kotomini. Possibly the most evil out of the bunch, or at least the greatest mastermind. From the start of the movie of the story, you can already tell something ain't right about this priest, despite him coming off generally polite. He just gives off a sinister aura every time he's given screen time. Yet he is very helpful, at least until he's gotten exactly what he wants from you and has no use for you. By the time he's revealed his true intentions, it's really no shocker that he's a bad guy. Because honestly, it didn't really seem like he was ever trying to pretend to be a good guy in the first place. After all, neither Shiro nor Ren seemed to like him either, and kept referring to him as a fake priest. Ren Tosaka never really trusted him, but I don't think she truly realized just how twisted the guy really was. For one thing, he killed her father, then gave her the blade he stabbed her father with as some sort of memento, without her knowing the truth for so many years. And don't even get me started with what he did to those poor orphans that barely survived a great fire of Furuki, which he caused, by the way. It was only after watching Fate Zero, which serves as a prequel to Fate Stay Night, that he became one of my favorite anime villains. I just loved seeing his character arc of eventually embracing the evil in his heart that was always there, with some help from an incredibly arrogant servant, Gilgamesh. Which, by the way, seeing those two form an alliance was one of the most intriguing things about the prequel. Alone, they're each a formidable adversary, but together they basically become the most dangerous duo in Stay Night. And speaking of Gilgamesh, I mentioned him being extremely arrogant. He's also selfish and, not to mention, cruel. I would say he's got a god complex, but technically he is a demigod and is the king of heroes who possesses all things in the world, whose tale is recorded in man's oldest epic poem. Which explains why he thinks so highly of himself, because he has a lot of reasons to do so. It's also led to him to looking down on those around him as inferior due to this fact, viewing all kings and heroes as a collection of mongrels and loathes any individual who tried to be on the same level as him. Despite being recorded as the king of heroes, don't let that fool you. As a king, he truly was a tyrant. And even now, as a Holy Spirit, he's still just as arrogant as he was during his previous life as a king. And it doesn't help much that he's the most OP character with the biggest hacks in the story in the form of his noble phantasms. Again, he's got every right to be as confident as he is, but that's also his greatest weakness. Because let's be honest here, the only reason he loses by the end of the Unlimited Blade Works route is due to his own arrogance. If he had swallowed his pride just in time to use his most noble phantasm, Aya, on Shiro, he would have undoubtedly won. Hell, even in the Fate route, he could have won the whole damn thing if he had just killed Saber after easily beating her in their first encounter in the Fifth Holy Grail War. Now that I think about it, he could have killed Saber in Fate Zero as well, but didn't because he wanted her as his woman or another one of his possessions. I could go on and on about this guy, but I'll save it for a separate video focusing just on him. The last villain, or in this case, antagonist I want to talk about here is, again, if you haven't seen or read Heavensfield, I suggest you probably should skip to this timestamp in the video. All right, last spoiler warning. All right, 3, 2, 1. So the next Fate character I want to give a shout out to is Sakura Matao. Now, I do plan on doing a full spoiler review on the Heavensfield film trilogy at some point, but for now, I'll briefly go over Sakura's role in the story. So, in both the Fate and Unlimited Blade Works route, Sakura doesn't really have that much of a presence in each respective story, mainly functioning as a minor character. She's just known as Shinji Mato's sister, who obviously has a crush on Shiro. However, it is until we get to the third and final route, Heavensfield, where she takes center stage as the lead heroine, and her backstory is vastly expanded upon. It's revealed that Sakura underwent years of torture and sexual abuse by Shinji and her grandfather, Zoken Mato, whom I do consider to be the true villain of this route, that left her psychologically scarred and emotionally dependent on Shiro. At the end of the previous Holy Grail War, Zoken implanted a piece of the Grail onto Sakura in an attempt to recreate it, turning her into the Black Grail, the counterpart to Ainsberg's White Grail. This leaves a servant from the third Holy Grail, Ongumaryu, also known as Avenger, to manifest itself through Sakura as the Shadow while she is asleep. I know that's a lot, guys, but hey. Consequently, Sakura takes on the form of the Shadow at night, which kills hundreds of people to gain energy. As a result of the combined machinations of both Zoken and Kirei, she gradually sinks into depravity before embracing the Shadow to become the bloodthirsty Dark Sakura. And it's at this point that she becomes the main antagonist of the third act. Torn between her usual self and being fully consumed by her long repressed feelings of rage and envy, I can't help but sympathize with the girl for what she's been through. But at the same time, she does need to be stopped, and it's up to Shiro to decide in what's the best method to doing this. Can he still somehow save her from herself? Or will he have to actually kill her to save the world? Honestly, I love how the movies make us truly appreciate Sakura as a character, appreciate her, and Then once she does go heel, it's honestly unsettling to witness, but it makes sense. anyone who Anyone would go batshit crazy going through what she went through every day, yet she hid it behind her smile. Now she's fully embracing the crazy, and again, I don't blame her. With that said, I don't think the whole damn world needs to suffer. Again, the girl has gone cray cray. Sakura is a perfect example of a tragic villain. Very similar to Lucy's story from Elfen Lied, but I personally think Sakura's story was told better. Totally recommend checking out the Heaven's Feel movies or read the visual novel if you haven't already. And there is a video that does a wonderful job fully analyzing Sakura's character. I'll leave a link to it in the description below.
You thought you'd never see me again, didn't you? He's a coward.
An evil organism created by the mad Dr. Gero. Cell was made from the cells of the most powerful fighters on planet Earth. The cells in his nucleus gives him everything that those warriors have, but his design could not have been completed until he had absorbed Android 17 and 18, two other creations of Dr. Gero. Before he died, Gero left Cell with his knowledge, so Cell's only goal was to fulfill his design and be complete, to reach his perfect form. He has a superb design and magnificent voice by Damian Clark in the US dub, and a kick-ass theme song in the US dub, of course, only. He was not only strong and smart, but it was a spirited competitor with a charismatic personality too. He wanted to show the entire world his perfect power, so he proposed a tournament, which he would fight and defeat all of Earth's greatest champions and afterwards blow up the planet. Being a sadist, Cell even had his announcement get broadcast on national television, just so he could see the Earthlings' terrified reactions. Cell thought of nothing but himself and how he could flaunt his perfection. He put the entire world in panic, and it took everything the heroes had to finally vanquish him. Plus, he actually succeeded at fulfilling his creator's wish, which was not only become complete, but also killing Goku as well. Suigento is the first doll of the Rosen Maiden collection and the most badass looking one as well. Hell, she looks more like a female version of Sephiroth, and that alone just screams awesome. Her desire to win the Alice game is the strongest out of all the dolls and is primarily driven by her wish to gain the attention of Father. Sadistic, spiteful, and arrogant, all due to her spectacular superiority complex. So Suigento has no inhibitions when it comes to the Alice games. She will use any method available to her, regardless of how brutal they may be, to grasp victory. Although she generally avoids associating with the other dolls on a social level, she has particularly strong hatred for Shinku. This hate borders on obsession, as she approximates how many hours and minutes since they have last met. Even though she does later join forces with Shinku to defeat Korikoski show in the in a later season, her time as the main antagonist of season 1 has enough merits for me to at least give her an honorable mention.